Jay is actually the calmer one. Like I'm calm a portion of the time, but usually once I kind of let my opinion out, it's a very strong opinion.
Yeah, he's very verbal, very verbal, very verbal. He is very long-winded, and we're working on being like a little bit
straight to the point.
Yeah, and sometimes he wants more responses from me because I can be like, XYZ, boom, that's your answer. He was like, but why? But what? But what if this? And I'm looking at him like, okay.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel.
It is Taco Tuesday.
Jay and I are going to enjoy American homemade tacos as we discuss a topic that we've had numerous times in our relationship.
So, not that we've experienced any like crazy stuff as of late, but just, watching TV and we just randomly talk about the things that we see on TV, as well as how people treat us when we're out in public. And like, okay, so this one time we were at Cracker Barrel. Were we leaving?
No, we were waiting to be seated, I think.
We were waiting to be seated. So, there's a retail section where you just walk around to shop. And there was this lady just casually moving in and out. And everybody who has been to Cracker Barrel knows there's minimum spacing to walk around or like wait inside, in the retail area. So she walks by me a couple times, behind me, in front of me, and never utters the word excuse me. So she does the same thing to Daniel, and guess what she says? Excuse me. And the entire time I'm looking, I'm like, I'm standing right beside you. Like, at that moment, I was standing right beside Daniel. And I was just like, there's no way she didn't see me the other few times she bumped me or, like, slid past me. There's been other occasions at restaurants when we go, we're waiting in line, for our table. Or, matter of fact, just walking up to the kiosk or host stand and saying we would like to be seated.
They don't think we're together.
And that bugs the out of me. Like, if he's standing beside me, behind me, I'm beside him, and we're like walking up to the stand at the same time, I don't understand why the hostess at the host stand be like, for two? Are you two together? Like, questioning it as if
it's not normal.
And honestly, you guys, I've seen a lot of interracial relationships in the area that we live in, and it's not always like, African American woman, Caucasian male. Sometimes it's vice versa. Sometimes you see Hispanics or Asians with African Americans. I mean, it just bugs the out of me.
It just shows that some areas are still behind the times and still living in a, 50, 60 years ago, like, mindset, and times have changed for the better.
But another thing, this happened when we went to South Carolina. It had never happened before. We went to some seafood place, and you trying to remember what I'm about to say, aren't you?
I know, but I'm trying to remember.
We went to some seafood place. I do not remember the name of the place.
Oh, wait a minute. Gilligan's. Something Gilligan's.
Something Gilligan's. But we were sitting down, looking at appetizers or whatever. This server comes to the table. I kid you not. We're sitting down looking at the menu. I guess I was a ghost or invisible because the entire time she was looking at Daniel, facing Daniel. Hey, how are you? What would I like to get you? Not once did she look at me. Not once did she ask me what I want to drink or anything. Like, I guess after she asked about the drink, you realize what she was doing.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, babe, what would you like, as an appetizer? Because she had, got his drink order. And just, I wasn't sitting there, y'all.
As soon as you started talking about it, I remember it now.
I was not sitting at that table with Daniel that night. I mean, I was, but to her, I was not. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So this is my first time, being in a relationship with someone outside of my race. Daniel, however, has had, different experiences than I. So he copes better with it. And when we try to have these conversations about how I'm feeling versus how he's feeling, I can say he's very is it empathetic or sympathetic? I'm just gonna say he understands how I feel and why I feel the way that I do.
But I guess I'm used to it more, so I kind of just not brush it off as far as her feelings are concerned, but I'm just it's normal, I've obviously been through the stage where I've noticed the looks, and even when I noticed the looks, it was kind of I was more observant to it, but I guess I was happy, so I didn't really care what others thought.
And that's me. I care too much. I'm told that a lot. I care too much about everything, y'all, not just this issue. And maybe that's just me, but I'm navigating how to, I guess, cope with it because it's never gonna go away. So I reach out to friends. I have 2 close friends. They're both, married to someone outside of their race. And I often piggyback experiences, off of theirs and ask, how do you deal with so-and-so? And one friend, she was like, we color coordinate everywhere we go. And so Daniel and I have started doing that. And I don't think we've gotten the question, are we together, since we've been doing that.
Mm-hmm. There's a good point.
Yeah, so even down to the shoes, if I have on my Yeezys, you best believe he got on his Yeezys. If I have on ones, he have on ones. If I'm wearing green, he's wearing green. Yeah. I know it's probably too much, but for a peace of mind and not to want to have to curse somebody out, it seems to be.
I don't mind matching my baby.
It seems to be working. Now, my sister and brother-in-law be like, come on, not the fix, not the same fix again. But that is our reasoning, for doing so.
Can I get the fork, please?
I'm sorry.
I try to, talk with Jay about it enough. And, honestly, there were some things that maybe hadn't been brought up in the past that I've been more aware of now, like the excuse me walking by, the incident in Walmart,
Oh, I forgot. You told me about that one.
So we were, I don't remember what hour we were on in Walmart. I feel like it was around Christmas.
Yeah.
And this lady just literally sat there and she just didn't say anything to get by.
Y'all, I thought she was gonna at least, you know how some people do, walk around and go down the other aisle so they can avoid saying excuse me. I thought she was gonna at least do that. Do y'all know? My cart was right here in the middle of the aisle from this side. And this the ginger ale, but I'm using this as the old lady. She walks up. My cart is in the middle of the aisle, right? She squeezes her cart just like this. Just like this. Shifts my cart out the way to proceed.
Did not once say excuse me, but she said something to me though, didn't she?
I don't know what she said to you.
I feel like she said something to me, but I can't really remember. I know for sure that lady in Cracker Barrel that time, I did say a lot to her, and she just kept coming back a few times saying
She did.
She kept coming back and
Basically,
using the Lord's name, and
she more so came from a standpoint of she didn't mean anything by it. It's crowded in here. What did she say specifically? It was along the lines of,
she said we didn't have to be ugly, and we hadn't even said anything else to her other than,
I didn't say anything.
You could say excuse me. I think I said, you could say excuse me, or something, and she started like trying to apologize for it, but then she kept coming back like and persistent. I had done told her like, okay, it's done, you know.
I think she kept coming back because I said not one word, and Daniel was like doing the talking for me. So I guess she wanted me to acknowledge the fact that she apologized, and I just was like, there's no reason why you could tell Daniel, excuse me, but not me. I didn't get it. Okay. Pandora story. How the lady made, you know, me feel like I couldn't afford to go in Pandora, y'all. Don't get me wrong, I had on leggings. I had on like a graphic tee and my Yeezys because most of the time I'm comfortable. She made it seem like we could not afford anything in that store. And I think you had on like joggers or something. Like we were just, you know, just casually like walking around. Stop in Pandora because I have a lot of Pandora jewelry thanks to Daniel and my mom and sister. We were purchasing a gift for someone and she was like, oh, that's so-and-so or that costs so-and-so. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I have one at home. I had to pull out my receipt on my phone to show her what I was looking for to buy somebody else. And then her whole mood changed. She was like, oh, okay. Well, would you like to see anything else today? But when we first walked in, she looked like, oh, Lord, not another customer like this. Because there was a sign there. What did it say?
Please wait to the allowed entrance or something. They didn't want people just to walk into the like a little boutique or store or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So like you had to wait for the whatever she would be considered to say, all right, come on in. They wouldn't allow but so many people in at a time. And I don't know, you know, if that was from like it's a small little boutique like crowd perspective, or make sure nobody steals anything. Once, I mean, looks like everything was locked away. So
it was, but you can get the feeling of walking into the store. I've had to tell Daniel of experiences of how I've been followed in stores. It's just very eye-opening to see that he has never experienced that. And when we talk about different things, I think I'm more so like, I'm not gonna say I push you to see these things, but like he's been more aware of how people treat me versus him in public, because it's obviously there. Like it's obviously there. And I don't want to say you don't get, you know, the same racial discrimination situations towards you, because I've seen how guys, you know, look at you a certain way because you're with me or whatever. But Daniel, he's the type to just pull me in or like grab my butt in public. So
all the time.
It doesn't bother him. Well, I can't speak for you. I don't think it bothers him as much as me though.
It doesn't bother me one bit because I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of who I'm with.
We're constantly like having discussions about things that happen, and I'm a Capricorn, so I'm blunt at times, but like I hate to say I have a little bit of a sensitive side to me as well. And like I have feelings. Like I can be blunt, but I still have, you know, feelings about things, and figuring out how to respond in these situations are very difficult because I'm a black female and we're already associated with being loud, rude, aggressive. So 9 times out of 10, I don't say anything. I literally just walk away or say, Daniel, did you see that? Or am I crazy? Like, did I like interpret that wrong? Because sometimes some people may not mean to do things the way they do them or mean to say things the way that they say them. But I always try to talk to him and be like, okay, sit down with me. Like, am I crazy? And that's just a few episodes, y'all. Since we've been together, we've been experiencing quite a few scenarios.
And the thing is, Jay is actually the calmer one. Like, I'm calm a portion of the time, but usually once I kind of let my opinion out, it's a very strong opinion.
Yeah, he's very verbal. Very verbal. Very verbal. I can't remember what it was. I was talking to my dad about this the other day. It was one day, I think we were in a store ordering food or something, and something went wrong. he immediately was like, well, we're gonna need a refund. Like, just going off until they actually got the thing situated. And my dad sat there the whole time laughing. I was like, you thought that would have been me. But Daniel's the more verbal one. Very much so. Not that it's an issue. I appreciate that, like, in certain situations I don't have to, say anything. But I don't want y'all to think I don't, like, stand my ground, because I do. Like, we were making bookings in Vegas the other day, and this lady, she kept cutting him off. And I was like, excuse me, he's trying to ask you a question, but you keep trying to sell us on something else. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, she wasn't even listening to him. So, like, I intervene when I feel like it's necessary, because Daniel had looked at me. He was like, I do not have time for this today.
Yeah, because I gave her, 2 or 3 chances, and she just took the phone from me because I think she was about to get it. Like, ma'am, if you do not let me talk.
Yeah, so we try to do well with, like, letting each other talk. Like, even when we're around family and everybody excited and, everybody's in their own conversations, different conversations, getting excited. Like, ooh, you remember whatever. So we try to do better without cutting across, each other or talking across each other. Because in a sense, it's rude. Even if you're excited and it's, a conversation, keep that idea or thought in your mental and let the person that you're having a discussion with finish before you, jump in and say something.
And I'm guilty of that because a lot of times I think when I get something on my mind or that I want to say, like, it's not I'm doing it with malice or intention to interrupt somebody or be rude. It just, like, I guess my brain is not going to function and listen fully until I get what I want to say out. And I've been trying to catch myself for that, like, okay, just hold on to it, or if you forget it, it won't that important. And just let the person finish saying what they're saying, because you're not giving your full attention when you are kind of half hearing.
Yeah, I used to be bad with that.
But I think that, and me and Jay have talked about this too, when we decide to have kids, it worries me how, people would treat them, I mean, obviously I wasn't raised that way. I was very diverse as far as, people I hung out with, friends I had, and I wasn't raised with negative opinions towards any race. But I do see in this world that we live in, how some people are looked at, and I mean, it is concerning. Everybody has their prejudgments of people based off of, what would you say?
Upbringing.
Yes.
And y'all, we have those kid conversations all the time because I follow this couple on Facebook, and I think they're on YouTube as well, but I can't remember the name of the channel. But she shared a story, the mom, who is black, but she's of a darker melanated skin tone, and her husband is white. And she says she went to go pick up her child from daycare, a child who you would think would be, more mixed skin tone, was white with blue eyes. She birthed the baby out of her womb, and just FYI, but she went into the school to pick her up and had to provide ID or some type of proof that that was her child. And I can see that being an issue, but at the same time, that was an issue. I'm not saying I can see that was an issue. That was an issue. Where I'm trying to get to is that mom should be more active in the kids programs if it's involving student, teacher, parent, because that shouldn't have happened. But I can see that happening in the future, whether it's daycare or sports, anything, even for little friends, oh, how is that your mom or your dad, depending upon what skin tone they have, because we can't decide what skin tone they're gonna have.
Right. I mean, we don't know what they're gonna predominantly take on. Because I have blue eyes, green eyes in my family. I mean, I didn't get them, but one of our kids could get them.
Yeah. No, it's just a crazy story, and one I had never thought of being a problem, but
Because everybody thinks that most time, biracial kids, black and white, have the mixed look, with the curly hair and the skin color. Would you say that,
I just say mix, but if we're using the wrong terminology, for those of you who have been in longer relationships, please school us in the comments, because I can sense these conversations coming back up, as Daniel mentioned, when we do decide to have kids.
Or, if any of you watching, like to share any input of your experience, it could be something that, creates a discussion for us, of, what if, or just sharing, is vital to us, because, we have a long ways to go in our life.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is just the beginning, so.
And your comments will open up future discussions for us to chat about, because it's a lot. I'm learning stuff that, I wasn't aware of, because, I just wasn't knowledgeable of them. But it's a lot to just sit here and think that people are still, in the mindset of this race can't be with this race, but it still exists.
Older people, our elders, not to say that they get a benefit of the doubt, but sometimes you try to understand from their point of view. This is how they were raised, possibly in that times. But I do think that no matter what, anybody should, help them understand, or help them, maybe change their insight. Maybe you won't be able to, but to just constantly say that's a wrong way of thinking, but not actually telling them that.
Yeah,
it's not right. You should voice that, your opinion. And a lot of people that do that, they put off that they're church going people, and
yeah,
you can't be church going if you have these beliefs.
But that's one thing about me. I have learned over the years to take accountability for my actions. So I'm more thoughtful on how I respond, why I respond, and what I respond, even in public or within friendships or relationships in general, because literally everyone has feelings. And I just feel in this society, people have troubles with what I'm trying to say. They have troubles with owning up to their mistakes, or just simply apologizing. I apologize, or I'm sorry, will do. It will suffice if you're genuine about it, And most of the time, that's all I want. Like Daniel mentioned, generations are changing. We grew up in a different time period, generation, than our elders, so of course they're gonna still, feel a certain way. But just how they say the old should raise the young, I think in some ways the young should raise the old, because times are definitely changing.
That's correct. If we're constantly growing until we die, there's always room for change, and simply being set in your ways can't always be the excuse or the justification for somebody acting the way that they do. We're living in a different world, and a lot of elderly people, they're not, seeing things that, we see on a daily basis, whether because they're not out in the public eye as much, or, simply on TV, they watch the same shows, watch the news,
Yeah.
watch the same old shows on TV Land or whatever that come on forever, and they don't, look at the new stuff that we watch, or get out there and see some of the stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Even though some of the stuff that we watch now, even though it's entertaining to us, it is how a lot of society is, and it's sad that it's become normalized.
What do you mean by that?
What's sad that it's become normalized?
Some of the stuff that's on TV, whether it's violence or, in a sense though, even our parents saw violence on TV. Westerns ain't nothing but violence for the most part.
Yeah. But that's the thing, you still have people in higher ups, or these filmmakers making things that relate back to history that basically reverses everything that we've young folk been trying to do. So I guess in a sense that's what he was trying to, say. Sometimes I gotta listen really closely to you to figure out what you're trying to say. Cause Daniel, he would go on a tangent and ask him what's his favorite color, and he would give me a paragraph on why his favorite color is his favorite color.
Yeah, I like blue because blue
You
is
don't have
this. Blue can go with that.
That's just an example, y'all. Like, he is very long-winded, and we're working on being, like, a little bit...
Straight to the point.
Yeah. And sometimes he wants more responses from me because I can be like, you know, XYZ. Boom, that's your answer. He was like, but why? But what? But what if this? And I'm looking at him like, okay. Well, guys, it's about that time. We hope you enjoyed the video. We hope you continue to like our videos and leave us comments down below. We really enjoy reading the comments, and we try to respond back to each and every one of you.
Until next time, guys.
Peace.